There we go, guys. That feels good. It feels good. Caught one. It's good, guys. It's a bass. What is good, everybody? Welcome back to Cross Country Bank Angler. I'm back at it again today. It's early December here in my area, and we've just recently had a little system come through here. You can see it's kind of overcast right now. We had some rain last night. I think it might rain a little bit more today. And we had and it was kind of cloudy like this yesterday too, and the day before, we had a little rain that night. So we've had a string of rainy days, and the temps have been mild. It's supposed to get up to like the upper 60s today, I think. So for this time of year, that's pretty warm. I'm back here. This is a spot that I fished last year. If you been watching the videos, you might recognize it. But last year I went out here, I think it was early November, with some crankbaits and caught a good number of fish, including a really big bass. So if you There we go. From underneath the dock, I think. Came up and slurped it. It's a good fish. It's a good fish. Pull and drag. This is gonna be the biggest of the day, I'm pretty sure. Oh yeah, it's a good one. Oh my gosh. It's a good fish. Stay hooked, buddy. Oh yeah, that's a tank. Oh. People, look at that bass. PB for the year for sure. Might be my PB of all time. Let's get this guy unhooked. Wow, right from under the dock. Slurped it on the surface. There we go. Oh, that's a beast. That's a straight up beast, people. So if you haven't seen that video, you should definitely check that one out. So here, this is definitely a lake I know for a fact that has, the potential for some big fish. I've caught multiple bass in kind of like the 5+ pound range here, which is big for where, my area, definitely. So that's something I'm keeping in mind today, is just the possibility of catching a big one. But it's a little later in the year than last time, so and we had some cold weather recently. Earlier this week we had temperatures in like the 20s and the teens one night. So winter's chill is it's here, but we're still having those swings in temperature as warm fronts and cold fronts come through. As you can see right now, there's really not much wind on the water at all. I'm hoping that'll change as the day goes on. I usually like there to be a little bit of wind. And I actually went out for a couple of hours yesterday. I just had a random spot that I've never been to before, just to see if I could get anything, any bites there. And no luck at all. Got skunked, didn't get a single strike of any kind. So it makes me think that, maybe things aren't going to be quite so topsy-turvy as they were last time we were here. Maybe it's just because it's later in the year, we've had that more cold weather, the fish are less active. But also, if you make it to the end of this video and you like what you see, then please subscribe to the channel. Leave a comment, leave a like, share the video with anyone else you think would be interested. All your support means a lot as we grow this channel. We've got weekly videos dropping on the channel, bank fishing related primarily, bass fishing, lure fishing, wading and creeks, bait finesse system. So if any of that stuff sounds interesting to you, you should hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you know every time I upload a new video. You never know until you throw. So, let's go. Alright guys, so I'm gonna try with the lure that worked last time here. I've got the BFS set up. This is the Strike King Bitsy Minnow. The Strike King Bitsy Minnow, that's what it's called. I've got a fire tiger pattern here. Last time I fished this area of the lake, it was catching fish pretty consistently. We caught, I think, 4 or 5 on it, bass. So hopefully we can get it to work here again. Alright guys, so on this bait cast setup here, I've got a buzz bait tied on, which you might think is sort of weird for this time of year. Alright people, so on our final setup here, I've got a spinner bait tied on. But I think we need to relocate. I think this spot is not holding adult bass right now. All right, people, so on this setup, I switched over to the old Yum Dinger and June Bug. Had some good success with this bait at this lake when they weren't kind of hitting moving lures before, so hopefully we can at least catch a couple of fish on it and just get out of the skunk. It's so still. Something kind of passive like this might just be smart to keep on one rod, even if we're not getting like a ton of bites on it. Jerk bait. It's a 3.5 inch paddle tail swim bait. I'm snagged. All right, people, quick little update here. It's around 1:30, and I've been fishing since maybe like 10:45, 10:35, something like that. And we haven't caught anything. It's been really slow. And we've had a couple little nibbles there, you know, at the beginning, but you know, there was nothing else after that. You know, I tried, you know, deeper water, tried some slower baits, you know, swim baits, stick worm, jerk bait, spinner bait, crank bait. I'm just starting to think that it's just too late in the year, you know, even though, you know, the conditions today looked really good. You know, earlier this week I was kind of excited to come out and do some fishing because it was going to be warm and, you know, relatively warm and cloudy and rainy. Anyway, I've got the BFS set up, rigged up, you know, put away the other ones, got a little float rig with a gulp minnow. Just gonna try that around for an hour or so. And if that doesn't work, then I'm gonna have to call it a day because, you know, if the fish aren't biting, the fish aren't biting. You know, maybe there's something they would eat. Maybe there's a lure out there, but I don't know what it is. And I just don't know where the fish are. You know, I just don't have enough information to keep going, you know, for the rest of the day. So Yeah, that's the plan for now. Hopefully we can find, you know, at least like some bluegill or a crappie on the Gulp minnow. There we go. We finally caught a fish, guys. It's a tiny bass. Well, we beat the skunk. Ooh, yeah, this water's cold, people. This fish is cold. It really might just be more of a winter situation, you know, water condition wise. Yeah, this fish is cold, guys. It's about a 7-inch bass, 6-inch bass. So we got something though. Man, it's been tough. Thank you, buddy. Wow. I mean, he barely even bit it too. I mean, it was just like, I mean, it didn't even go under, really. There's some pads in deeper water over here. Maybe you should cast to those. That other fish was definitely near the pads. So there's at least some small fish near some of this cover. Figured there was some small ones around, at least. There we go, guys. That feels good. It feels good. It's a bluegill. All right. Oh, guys, look at that. That's a good bluegill. Oh my gosh, that's a good one. That's the biggest bluegill I've caught in a while, guys. Since the spring. Whoa. Dude, that one, I thought that was a bass for a second. That's about a 7-inch bluegill, guys. Beautiful fish. Whew. Okay, if we can catch a couple more of these, guys, we're in business. Look at him. Got that purple on the side, copper colored chest, blue on the gill, as the name implies. Let me get a picture of this guy. Beautiful fish. The bite is super light, guys. It's a super light little tap. They're not yanking it under. They're just lightly pecking it. Beautiful bluegill, guys. Wow. Maybe we just need to target panfish today. Maybe that's what's willing to eat right now. I'm not above it, guys. You guys know I like catching multi-species, so I need to get back in there after that. That's an awesome fish, in my opinion, guys. Especially considering how terribly slow the day has been. Just going ultra finesse. That's really what this is, guys. Got one. Another bluegill. So they're just, they're not even pulling the bobber under, guys. They're just picking it, grabbing it, and swimming off with it. Not quite as nice as that first one, but it's still not a bad bluegill. It's cold fish. I'll take it, guys. I'll take it on a day like today. Let's send her back. Thank you, fish. Third fish of the day. We appreciate you. Got one. It's good, guys. It's a bass. It's a, no! Broke me off, guys. Right there in the weeds. You have got to be kidding me. Let's try again. We gotta try again after that, guys. That was like a 1.5 pound bass on a gulp minnow of all things. Here's a fish. It's a little bass. All right, guys. Here's another fish. The gulp minnow is still working. Little bass, similar to that first one. Got a fish, guys. Feels decent. Oh, wow. Jumbo bluegill. Monster. Oh. Look at that slab, guys. That might be my biggest one this year. And this was the point in the day where my microphone finally died, but this last bluegill here was definitely the nicest fish that we were able to land of the day. This guy was, like I said, maybe my PB for the year, maybe 8 or possibly pushing 9 inches. Definitely a nice, healthy, mature adult fish that we found here going on to this other side of the lake a little further down from all the docks. But yeah, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. You know, it was in early December here, you know, that late fall time, and yeah, we just ended up having to slow down and just go micro finesse to really get any kind of bites. I don't know what the, you know, I just could not figure out a pattern for the bass, really. I mean, we caught some bass today, of course, but they were mostly small. Well, they were all small, the ones that we actually landed. We hooked into one nice sized adult bass on this setup, but
Yeah, every now and then you just have those days where you need to really go just micro finesse. That's really what I would say this type of fishing is. Just a little gulp minnow. It's a bait with a lot of scent. It's not necessarily like fishing with live bait entirely. You do have to give it a little bit of action. Reel it a couple turns. Every few seconds if you haven't gotten a hit. That does seem to make a difference to me instead of just kind of letting it sit there. So it's not exactly the same. But, a lot of guys just don't think about fishing with a float. They just kind of think it's for kids and that it's not really worth doing. It's not very fun. Times when it just works, having that suspended presentation like that slow presentation, there really aren't a lot of ways to sort of suspend a bait very easily otherwise. I mean, obviously you've got jerk baits, suspending jerk baits, but I tried that today and that didn't work either. So definitely keep this in mind, guys. If especially you ultralight guys, BFS guys too. I mean, really, I think this setup is better for an ultralight spinning rod. The BFS setup didn't cast this super great. It's definitely had a few overruns and backlashes I had to pick out here because with all that stuff on the line, it doesn't really pull off of the reel very smoothly, and it just makes it easier to get a backlash. But definitely just keep a float rig in mind with some kind of small minnow imitation, in your arsenal, guys, or really even just like an insect imitation, something like a little grub or whatever, like a 1-inch bait, something in that class, a tiny jighead and a float, and it can save you from the skunk. I've actually another day more recently that I went out, a similar setup to this was really the only way I could get a consistent bite. And you can get hits from larger fish on this. It's not an ideal setup for those types of fish just because your hook is really small, but there are some cold water presentations out there. The float and fly, some bass guys talk about that in the winter. It's a very similar concept to this. You're just imitating a suspending kind of sluggish bait fish. With that being said, I'm going to leave it here. I hope you enjoyed the video and maybe learn something from it about how to avoid getting skunked in that colder water. It's tough in the winter from the bank. Hopefully this will make a difference for you, give you some ideas on those slow days when it just seems like maybe you've been throwing some bass lures around, even your finesse bass lures, and nothing really seems to be working. I hope to see you next time, and thanks again for watching.